unmuted. All right, y'all probably been hearing me chatting here, so we're going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. It's a little bit past 6:30, but we're going to get through this together. I appreciate everybody's patience. And also, I want to congratulate Casey Owens on her election and welcome her, as everybody else has.
Here you are.
And with that, I would like to ask Commissioner Joseph Stotts, would you please lead us in the invocation?
Yes, let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for this day. We thank you so much for us being able to assemble together to make good decisions on behalf of the county. And we ask that you continue to watch over us during our process of looking at each issue individually and always putting the issue and the people of the county above our own interests, above our own opinions, and always be looking out for what's in the best interest of the county. And we pray that you'll be with everybody here today, that we're able to work together on all these issues, and that we're able to find a common sense solution and work to the betterment of the county. In Christ's name we humbly pray. Amen.
Amen. And I know we can't see each other, but hopefully you have a flag somewhere handy nearby. Let's join together and let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America
and
and
to
to
the
the
republic
republic
for which it stands,
one
One
nation
nation,
under God,
indivisible, with
with
liberty
justice
and justice for all.
for all. Thank you. Lisa, if you would, please call the roll.
Michael Bell,
Here.
Carl D. Carl D. Bolden,
Here.
Carl E. Bolden,
Here.
Carleen Brown,
Here.
David Dunlap,
Here.
Randy Flynn,
Here.
Deborah Evans,
Here.
Steve Glenn,
Here.
Stephen Helton,
Here.
Robert Hennessy,
Here.
Ron Lee,
Here.
Gary Martin,
Here.
Daniel Owens,
Here.
Casey Owens,
Here.
Gary Prater, Gary Prater, Christy Ross,
Here.
Scott Rubley,
Here.
Tommy Savage,
Here.
Tyrone Spartman,
Here.
Scotts,
Here.
Philip Stout,
Here.
Cole Taylor,
Here.
Wayne Wilcher,
Here.
Gary Prater. I know he was there just a minute ago, so I'll go being present.
Okay, he should chime back in here shortly. He may have lost connection. Gary Prater. Gary Prater.
Mr. Chairman, we need to send him a text. He may not know he's off.
Would you do that for me? All right. while we're trying to contact Commissioner Prater, now at this time, the next item is adoption of docket.
Mr. Chairman, I have a motion to amend the docket.
All right, we have a motion to amend the docket. What is that motion, Commissioner Brown?
Mr. Chairman, we need a motion to approve first.
That is correct.
I'll make that motion.
I second that motion. Michael
All right, who
Bell.
made the motion? Who made the motion?
Scott Ruble.
All right, Commissioner Rubley made a motion to accept or adopt the docket, and it was seconded by who?
Michael Bell.
Michael Bell. Now Commissioner Brown.
Yes, sir. That's, I make a motion to amend the docket to change to item 1, to decide the format and location for the October 19th full county court meeting.
Okay,
And-
so you want to make that the first item of business?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Item number 1, and that is my motion.
All right, we have a motion to make the first item of business, to set the format of our October meeting. And,
Second.
we have a second from
Commissioner
who?
Owen.
Commissioner Owens. Would anybody like to speak to that motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like some clarity on that if Ms. Brown would care to discuss.
Yes, Commissioner Brown.
Well, I would like for us to make a decision as, well, really the decision makers is you, Mr. Chairman, and with Mr. Haley, to decide exactly the location and the format of what your plans are. And I know things could change, but what your plans are for our October meeting, because it could have an influence on how people vote tonight on some discussion items, whether it goes through tonight or not. So I think it would be important that we already know if we're going to be able to entertain the idea of having an in-person meeting at the administration building or not. Is that what you were asking, Scott?
Yes, thank you.
Well, I don't want to speak for Executive Haley, but he did mention the possibility, and I would ask Executive Haley to, if he would, to speak on that, the position of meeting in person or not.
Well, Mr. Wiltshire,
We did-
if this goes on the docket under item 1, I would think that would be the time that the two of you would go ahead and make that discussion and make that decision and recommendation at that time. I don't know if we really should be discussing my motion right now. I'm not,
Okay.
don't think we should be doing that.
You're
Chairman
right.
Wiltshire.
Yes, Commissioner Owens.
I think that was Mr. Helton.
Okay. We have a motion. We have a second. Is there any other discussion? If not, we will vote. All right.
Mr. Chairman, we would need to change item number 1 to, I'm assuming, 1A.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. All in favor of this motion, and that is the motion to have item number 1 to discuss how and where we will meet in our October meeting as a full county commission. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any, nobody opposed, and I'm not sure if Commissioner Prater has joined us yet. But if he hasn't, then that would be, I guess, 23, wouldn't it, Lisa?
22.
22, you're right. We still have one commissioner that's not with us.
Thank you.
Thank you. So that will go, with your permission, Commissioner Brown, we could put that as item 1A.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. All right. Now we're back on the original motion to approve the docket.
I make that motion. Carly Bolden.
Well, we already have a motion, we have a second on that. It has been amended, so, at this point, we will be back on the original motion amended. So we're voting on the docket as we voted to amend it with item 1A added. Does everybody understand that? Okay. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Motion passes. All right, the next item up is to elect the chairman of the county commission for this next year.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner England.
I'd like to nominate Blaine Welcher.
We have a nomination for Blaine Wiltshire for chairman. Is there a
Mr.
second?
Chairman, Mr. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to second that motion. Carl E. Bolden.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All
I
right,
make a motion, nomination cease, and we elect by acclamation.
I'll second that.
all right, we have a motion from Commissioner Michael Bell to cease nominations and vote by acclamation, and second by, I believe, Commissioner
Tyrone
Martin.
Sparkman.
Yes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, next is the reading of the minutes, and
Chairman.
hopefully you have, yes, Commissioner Savage.
Yes, sir. I'd like to make a motion that we suspend the reading, that we accept the minutes as written and suspend the reading of those minutes, sir.
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Savage, we have a second from Commissioner Ron Lee, that we accept the minutes written and dispense with the reading of the minutes. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. All right, next is public comment. And I haven't been notified of any public comment. Executive Haley, do we have a public comment?
No, sir, Mr. Chairman, no one made that request for this meeting.
All right, thank you. Next, we will go to our county executive for special recognition.
Yes, for the full commission, these last few months have been a challenge, I know, for all of us. And, the August election was no exception. And over the last couple of months, with information changing daily, the August election, under the direction and supervision of Director Susie Davenport, did an exceptional job, her and her staff, and those persons who were recruited to work at the polls, and the volunteers who assisted. And so I wanted to do this in the August meeting, but we're doing it for September so I can recognize Susie Davenport and the Election Commission and her staff for the exceptional job that they did in the August election. Of course, as we move forward with the November election, the challenges are still there. Her office is still inundated with requests for mail-in ballots and absentee ballots, with the direction from the state changing almost daily as well. And so we have this November election coming up, and I will say that her committee and her commission and her staff have worked late hours in order to make sure that the November election will be as flawless as the August one for the local electorate who wishes to cast their ballots in person or by mail or absentee ballot. So I want to commend her and her staff. And Secretary of State Trey Hargett will be on my Ben Lomond show next week explaining the election in November And Ms. Davenport will be also on there joining me to explain locally what we'll be doing in order to make sure that everybody's vote is counted and that the election goes as planned. So I want to thank Susie Davenport and her staff and give them that shout out.
Thank you. Next, Executive Haley, is the proclamation for Suicide Prevention Awareness Month.
Yes, I'm not going to read this whole thing to shorten the meeting, but September is normally the month that we recognize Suicide Prevention Month. And so I drafted a proclamation that I read on my BLTV the last week in August to bring awareness to the fact that, especially during these trying times of the pandemic and the emotional stress and trauma that's put on everyone, we do want to recognize that September is Suicide Prevention Month, and we encourage all Tennesseans to take the time to inquire as to the well-being of their family and friends and genuinely convey their appreciation for the existence in any gesture they seem appropriate to make sure that everyone feels that every life is important, whether it be through a single phone call or message or a handshake, whatever you have to do to bring the emotional support to those individuals who are suffering every day in some cases, and particularly with this pandemic on hand. So, Tennessee is a national leader in this effort, and those counseling agencies that are here across the county and in the school system and our public health department do an exceptional job in making the hotlines available and to make sure that everyone's life is deemed important and the support network is there. So I'm not going to read the proclamation, but we do want to recognize that it is important and that our community be aware of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Executive Haley. All right. Next, we will go into our elected official department reports, and first is the county executive's report for September 2020.
Yes, this County Executive Haley, I emailed out later this afternoon an updated version of my executive report, so you can read it if you've got any questions about it. You can call my office, and I've already received some feedback via email, so feel free to contact Mrs. Sweeten in my office or myself if you've got any questions about it. Thank you.
Okay. And what we can do, if we need to, Robert, you may chime in on this. We could entertain a motion to accept that, but not approve it due to the fact that I know I haven't got to look over it myself because I was in transit this afternoon when it was sent out, and I would like to look over it, and I'm sure there's maybe others that may not have had a chance yet to look at it. Would that be acceptable, Robert?
Yes, that's fine.
All right.
I make a motion to accept the county executive's report.
Thank you,
Second.
Commissioner Brown. We have a motion to accept the county executive's report, and we have a motion is from Commissioner Brown. I believe the second was from Commissioner Rubley.
Yes.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. Next item is the Finance Department report. Director Cotton.
Yes, you have my report. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them at this time.
Move to adopt.
We have a motion from Commissioner Lee to adopt the Finance Director's report.
Second
by Robert Hennessy.
Thank you, Robert. We have a second from Commissioner Hennessy. Anyone want to speak to that motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Motion passes. Lisa, I'm not trying to speak for you either. I'm sorry. Warren County Highway Department quarterly report submitted for August meeting is the next item.
Motion to approve.
I'll second
We
it.
have a from Commissioner Bell and a second from Commissioner England to approve. Anyone want to speak to those motions?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question I'd like to ask, somebody might know. Why is it that the burned trailer on Highway 55 outside of Morrison is still on the side of the highway?
I would assume that's a state highway, but I
T-Dot.
don't want to. Okay. Robert, do you have anything on that? Do you know, I believe that is a state highway.
I think that is a state highway under TDOT jurisdiction, but I don't know anything about that particular trailer, so I can't comment specifically about it.
Yeah, neither do I, Mr. Brown.
Commissioner Brown, this is Commissioner Helton. I have been told that they could not find a wrecker service that would clean the mess up. Is what the trouble was, and that's what I've been told on that matter.
Thank you.
Is there any other discussion on this motion to accept the Highway Department report? If not, then I will ask all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. Next item is Warren County Sanitation Department quarterly report.
Motion to approve.
All right, we have a motion from Commissioner Rubley to approve.
Second, Tommy Savage.
Second.
We have a second from Commissioner Savage. Anyone want to speak to that motion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Next item is the Warren County Schools quarterly report. It was submitted for our August meeting.
Commissioner Evans, I make a motion to accept the report.
I second.
Commissioner Evans made the motion, and I believe that was Commissioner Stout that seconded it.
Yes.
Does anyone want to speak to those motions, or that motion, I'm sorry? If not, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. Next up, Finance Department report, and this is for July, Director Cotton.
Yes, you have my report. I'll take any questions if anyone has them at this time.
Move to adopt.
We have a motion from Commissioner Carl E. Bolden.
Second, Robert Hennessy.
We have a second from Commissioner Robert Hennessy. Anyone want to speak to that motion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Mr. Chairman, I believe you missed one.
The Sheriff's Department. Yes. We will entertain a motion to accept the Warren County Sheriff's Department second quarter 2020 report.
So moved.
We have a motion from Commissioner Lee.
Second, Daniel Owens.
We have a second from Commissioner Owens. Anyone want to speak to that motion?
Yeah. Every absent.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Commissioner England. All right, next up is the Warren County Airport quarterly report.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to adopt. Robert Hennessy.
I second.
All right, we have a motion from Commissioner Hennessy to adopt it. We have a second from Commissioner Stout, I believe. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay. All right. Anyone want to speak to that motion? All right. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. Motion carries.
And Mr. Chairman, I just noticed on my screen that Mr. Grant Swallows has joined us, and since we've done past him, I don't know if you wanted to give him a minute to talk about the schools.
Yes, Grant, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I'm
not sure you got.
I
It's
apologize,
okay.
we've already voted on your item, but if you have any news for us, we welcome that.
No problem. I don't know that I can update the status of schools in a minute, but I will say that we do have a board meeting tomorrow night that it seems that people are pretty excited about. So I will just say that I'm very proud of our school system and how we have begun the year. My report really dealt with that and how we have come back to the school and had a lot of success being safe and still being able to educate our children. We have been very pleased with the way that we've been able to limit the spread of the virus and still be able to learn. I believe we're beginning to transition into a place to where, just like we've always said, our goal is to get students in school and keep them in school, because that's where we know them to be successful. So we're going to be discussing that tomorrow night in our board meeting, and I appreciate all the support from the county commission and all that's going on in Warren County.
Thank you, Mr. Swallows.
Director Swallows.
Yes, sir.
I had a question. When and where is the meeting tomorrow night?
It will be at the Warren County High School auditorium. And of course, it'll be broadcast on YouTube as it has been the last several months. Following the governor's orders, we are limiting attendance to the first 50 that come in, but the auditorium does give us the opportunity to distance in there. And so anyone that wants to join up to 50, we would be happy to have.
Okay, that was my next question. Thank you, sir.
Sure.
All right, thank you again, Grant, for coming in there for us and updating us. Next item is the Codes Environmental Quarterly Report for September 2020.
Motion to adopt.
We have a motion from Commissioner Savage.
Second.
Second. Carl E. Bolden.
All right, we have a second from Commissioner Carl E. Bolden. Anyone want to speak to that motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Motion passes. Next up is the Warren County Commission report on the EMA.
Motion to adopt, Michael Bell.
We have a
Philip
motion.
Stout, second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Bell and a second from Commissioner Stout to accept the EMA report. Anyone want to speak to that motion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. Motion passes. Next up, EMS Quarterly Department Report for September 2020.
I make a motion, we approve.
I'll second.
Second, Steve Glenn.
All right, we have a motion from Commissioner Lee, a second from Commissioner Glenn. Anyone want to speak to that motion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Next item, Industrial Development Board Quarterly Report, September 2020.
Motion to
I move to
adopt.
accept.
I have a motion from Commissioner Tyrone Sparkman.
I'll second, Michael Bell.
I have a second from Commissioner Bell. Anyone want to speak to that motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Next up is the UTTSU Extension Warren County Court Report, September 2020.
Motion to approve.
Second, Steve Glenn.
We have a motion from Commissioner Lee and a second from Commissioner Glenn. Anyone want to speak to that motion?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make an announcement really quick.
Okay.
And I would like to thank the citizens of Warren County who showed up this past Saturday. The 4-H had their chick chain sale, and this is one of the very few fundraisers they have since they're not having the funnel cake booth this year. They're going to be short of funds, but I'd just like to say thank you to all the citizens of Warren County and applaud them for their generosity. For those of you that don't know, they sell 3 of their chickens that they raise every year as a fundraiser for 4-H. And this year, Mr. Philip Prater was the auctioneer, and he donated his services. And there was approximately $2,900 raised at a cost per each chicken of $38. And I can assure you that chickens are not valued at $38. I saw some chickens sell for $70. And that just speaks to the generosity of these people who realize the importance of the 4-H program. It's a very important program for school. A lot of basic building skills are developed through that program in grammar school all the way through high school. And just like to say thank you to all the citizens who participated in that, and the money will be well spent. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Rubley. Anyone else want to speak? All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Next is committee reports, and what I want to do is I do want to go through these committees and allow the chairman to give us any updates, if there are any updates on these committees, and I'll start with Budget and Finance.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As far as I know, we don't have anything very important to report. We have got several grants that have come in, and a lot of it has to do with COVID-19. We're getting some of those grants in, and we will be having Budget and Finance will be having a meeting. I know we're choosing committees tonight, but they will be having a meeting. It is already planned for this Thursday at 6:30, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Building and Grounds.
At this time, thank you, this is Carl E., but at this time, Building and Grounds has nothing to report, but we do have some things going on, and hopefully next month we'll have some good news to report about our dog, our animal shelter and a few things, but at this meeting, we won't report anything. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Economic and Agricultural Development.
Gary Martin, Economical and Agriculture, does not have anything to report at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Education.
Yes, thank you to Grant Swallows who joined in and kind of gave us another report and updated exactly on the school situation at this time. But I do want to add to that it was reported that our ag barn is now complete, and with everything that was outlined in the contract itself, there's still some building going on for the stalls that's actually going to be done in-house. And then while that's going on, they're planning the curriculum that will be conducted at that particular facility. And I know those kids are really excited about having this ag barn. West Elementary School is still coming along. We did tour that. A few of our commissioners got a chance to go through that. And I highly encourage all of you to give Ms. Lewis a call. She will be glad to meet you and take you through a tour of that facility. You know, the next few years, there's going to be times that we're going to be faced with continuing the capital improvement projects for the school system. And you really need to be aware of what's going on in these facilities to be able to make an informed decision and an informed vote when you do vote on those things. So please get a chance. And one of the highlights is the new kitchen facilities at West Elementary. It is just absolutely wonderful, and I know those kids are enjoying that cafeteria. They had not completed the computer room at the time I was there, but that project is just about to come to an end. And again, we wish them good luck tomorrow night as they make this difficult decision on how to return back to school after fall break, after October the 12th. I know this is weighing heavily on the parents, the teachers, and of course, Mr. Swallows and his staff and the principals. And we just hope that this decision that's made will be supported and they can move forward and we can continue to accomplish our goals. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Brown. Next is Financial Management.
County Executive
Financial Management
Go ahead, Justin.
Now, go ahead. I didn't have anything to report.
That's what I was going to say. At this time, I don't think we have anything to report. You had something, Director Cotton, to add to that.
All right, thank you. Next is health and welfare, and basically it was touched on about the improvements out there at the facility. They are coming along, and we're hopeful that possibly next year we can move forward with our expansion. Also, I do want to announce that this Saturday, not this Saturday, but next Saturday, October the 3rd, is our Adopt One program. If you haven't been able to come out, it'd be a great opportunity from 10 to 12 to come out, sponsor an animal, and let us take your picture and let us use your face to help get an animal adopted. And that's all we ask. And that's all I have to report on that. Next is Legislative Committee.
There's nothing to report at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item is Policy and Personnel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I talked to David Williams, the Judicial Commissioner Supervisor, today. We talk about once a week, and everything's going smoothly now. Everybody's back at work. They were down to 3 out of 6 during the pandemic when it was at its worst. And the mandatory in-service training has been postponed until after the first of the year, and the state has waived the rules on that in-service training for now. And the judicial commissioners, they have a huge responsibility, and I'll have to give it to the guys that were part-timers. They stepped up. 2 of the people that were sick were the full-time workers, and the part-timers stepped up and made sure that we didn't go without someone out there. And I'd also like to thank the clerk and master's office for helping out with some of the warrants when we had so many of the judicial commissioners sick. That's all I've got to report this time. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Next up is Safety.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this time, our EMS has really been working hard here lately with some sicknesses and accidents. They've really been busy, but things are going well. I talked to the sheriff weekly, and everything's going well out there. I think today's number was 189. That's all I've got to report.
Thank you, Commissioner Lee. Next, County Corrections Partnership.
County Corrections Partnership has nothing to report, Chairman.
Thank you. And last but not least, Redistricting Committee, Commissioner England.
Mr. Chairman, we have nothing to report at this time. And if you want to back up to Highway and Bridge, I'll give you a quick on that, if that's okay.
That's good. Go ahead.
We got our bridge. It'll be starting in the Northcutt Cove. We've got all that approved. They probably are working now on it. Also, we're getting finished up with our last of our bush hogging mowing. The frost will be coming in, and that'll take care of that for the year. One of the big things I want everybody to know is we met the other day as a committee, and we voted to send surplus equipment. So we've got a few vehicles, a backhoe, and some different things that we're going to be putting in the, I believe it's the October 10th auction up at the fairgrounds that Philip Prater's having for, he's having equipment sale. So if anyone would like to bid on any of the items that belong to the Highway and Bridge Department, we'd like for you to be there. And with that, I think that's got you caught up.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman, if I may ask Commissioner England a question, please.
Yes,
about the
Commissioner Ross.
redistricting committee. Do you have a meeting on the books anytime soon?
Yes, ma'am. We have one this Thursday at 4 o'clock.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
All right. At this time, we don't have any old business, so we will go into new business. And the first item is item 1A to discuss the meeting format for our October full commission meeting. And I will open that up right now. Well, let me give you a little information on my end, and then Executive Haley can speak as well on what he's been working on. I have contacted the Park Theater in case something couldn't work out for us to use the admin building next month, and I already know that we could rent the Park Theater. They're already set up with BLTV. They can actually host as many as 100 people with social distancing as required in that facility. If we needed a place to meet in person and we weren't able to meet in the admin building, that would be something that I would want to do. I know several commissioners has contacted me about the need and want to get back to meeting in person, and especially when some of these items that are real critical for us to vote on. The Zoom meeting can be hard sometimes when you're debating an issue, so that's the information that I've got at this time. Executive Haley?
Chairman Wilcher. Chairman Wilcher, what would the cost be to rent the Park Theater?
$200.
Mr. Chairman, I think you asked for me to speak on that.
Yes, Executive Haley.
So we had the discussion before this meeting about the possibility of doing an in-person October meeting. That it is possible. There's no reason for it not to be. We just have to make sure that every commissioner feels safe and meeting in person, and that every commissioner that attends that meeting will subscribe to the county policies on wearing masks and social distancing, just like it's been required in the past. So, we'll have to limit the number of people in that room because we can't effectively, we don't have a meeting space like the Park Theater where you can distance people out as much, or even an auditorium at the school system. So we will have to limit the number of people that are in attendance to a certain limit or number. But once again, in entering the building, commissioners will have to do exactly what every other person who comes into the building with temperature checks and wearing the mask and doing the social distancing. So we've got all those things in place. If the county commission will subscribe to those rules, there should be no problem with meeting in October.
Mr. Haley?
Yes.
Will we be able to live stream that meeting also? So those people that if we meet our capacity of maybe 20 people in the audience, if that's the number that you determine, would they be able to view this live while we're having our meeting?
BLTV will be able to do it, but at this point, we don't know how the capability in that space. We don't have Wi-Fi, and we don't have the technology in place to do any kind of hybrid meeting, and so it would be limited, and that's the issue with it as well, because we don't have the technology.
Can we not go ahead and contact Ben Lomond and have that put in? I thought
Ben Lomond will be there. Ben Lomond will be there. Joe Harvey will be there. Ben Lomond possibly could be there to do it. It will take some work in order to make that happen. But as far as a hybrid meeting with people being able to, we don't have the capability in that room right now to do it. So, but Ben Lomond could be there to try to live stream it. It'll take some moving some equipment in, but Mr. Harvey will be there with the school system recording as he normally does.
Okay.
And also,
I'll be on Ben Lomond tomorrow, and I can ask, how they may have to come over and look at the building again. So we are looking at trying to get Wi-Fi in the courtroom so we can accommodate some of these things, but we're still waiting on some numbers on that.
And also the standard, they would be there. Robert, correct me if I'm wrong. We don't technically, if we meet in person, we don't technically have to live stream it as long as the paper is there to record what is going on. Am I correct on that?
Well, that has been the case, but the comptroller has issued new guidance September 1, and that is requiring live streaming. So it is something we do need to do if we have the capability for it. There's an exception if you don't have the capability, so that's debatable whether or not we can pull that off. And another thing I'd like to point out.
Mr. Harvey, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Harvey just texted me and said he should be able to live stream it. You can do it from your phone as well, so we may be able to do it without actually having to ask Ben Lomond to come over and set up. So we'll be working on that in order to try to make that happen. There'll be a few hurdles, but we should be able to do that.
Okay, Robert, you were saying?
Yeah, I was going to say we're trying to predict 4 weeks out what's going to be the appropriate place, time, and and meeting format. Just want to be careful that once we resolve to do it one way, we are binding ourselves to that, and we'll legislate ourselves into a corner if it turns out 4 weeks down the road that's not the best way to meet. So just be cognizant of that as we're making this decision.
Chairman Wiltshire, this is Commissioner Helton.
Yes, Commissioner Helton.
I move that we meet in person in the October meeting and we follow county protocols.
We have a motion from Commissioner Helton that we meet in our administrative building in October and follow.
He did not say administrative building. He said in person.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I just want to correct that because that was something Mr. Bratcher was trying to point out. You don't want to tie yourself to something that we can't follow through on.
Was that your intention, Stephen? Just
It was my intention. Thank you, Carlene, to
right.
meet at the administration building.
It was?
Okay.
It was my intent for my motion to be that we meet in person at the administration building and we follow county protocol at that time.
Okay.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion from Commissioner Helton. We have a second from Commissioner Tyrone Sparkman. Does anybody want to speak to that motion?
Mr. Commissioner,
I'm sorry, who's speaking?
Commissioner
Chairman,
Lugar.
Executive Haley?
Yes, just to hear what Robert said, a lot can happen between now and then. So you might want to leave that option in there if something happens between now and then, that we may have to resume a Zoom format, but we'll do our best to do what we can. But once again, if you paint yourself into a corner and it happens, you've already painted yourself out of an opportunity to meet. So just be cognizant of that.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner Lee.
Commissioner Rubley,
I'm sorry, Commissioner Rubley, you sound a lot like Ron.
that's fine. That's fine. I'm sure he'll forgive you for that. But, Mr. Chairman, I think we need to amend that motion to, as Robert said, to put some safeguards in place, basically stating that if we cannot meet at the admin building, then we would move to the Park Theater. And if health issues did not permit that we would defer back to Zoom. And I would put that in the form of a motion just for legal purposes.
I second that motion.
All right, we have a motion from Commissioner Rubley. We have a second from Commissioner Evans, and that is to meet, if possible, at the administrative building in October in person following the county safety protocol and or the Park Theater. And also, if neither of those work, we will go back to Zoom. Did I state that correctly, Commissioner Rubley?
That's correct, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Does anybody want to speak to that motion?
Mr. Chairman, this is Commissioner Helton.
Yes, Commissioner Helton.
The rent of the facility, if we have to go to the Park Theater, do we need to do anything special regarding that $200 in order to approve that so it's available in case we need it?
Yes, I think we would have to do that probably. If this is approved, we would have to make a motion to find the necessary funds in order to pay for that.
Mr. Chairman, just for clarity, there was a motion and a second on the floor, and then we have another motion and a second on the floor. So I'm curious which one it is that we're voting on. Would the other one have to be backed out? I just want to make sure.
We're voting on the amendment. If the amendment passes, then we won't revert back to the original motion.
Okay, the amendment. Okay, it was an amendment. Thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, can you read back the amendment?
Okay. The amendment is that we will meet in person following county safety protocol here at the administrative building in our full county meeting in October. If that is not possible, we will go to the Park Theater and meet there. And if that's not possible, we will revert back to Zoom. Is there any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes. Is this
This is Director Cotton.
Director Cotton? I'm sorry.
I just, to speak to the question of funding, the county commission does have an other charges line that has a budget amount of $2,200 remaining in it at this time that could be used for rent if that becomes necessary.
Thank you, Director Cotton.
You're welcome.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner Hennessy.
first of all, thank you, Mr. Commissioner Rubley, for making that abundantly clear. I think that was the right step. I was going to follow your lead on that. My question is to Mr. Bratcher. Does this seem like a good approach to take as far as covering our bases and not getting ourselves into a situation like we were a couple months ago?
Yes, I think that Commissioner Rubley's suggestion is very good because it'll permit us to have multiple contingencies if we have different types of events that would require different buildings or meeting methods. I would say that, you actually don't even have to have the resolution at all, because in the absence of a resolution, you simply meet at the regular location unless Zoom is the back out. And the only reason I imagine that we would go to the Park Theater is if there's a health concern at the administrative building. So it would presumably be the same concern at the Park Theater. But the way it is phrased, it leaves a lot of latitude for Chairman Wiltshire and Executive Haley to get together between now and the October meeting and decide what's the best place or best way to meet.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? All right, we're voting on the amended motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion passes. And to go ahead, Robert, do we need to do anything now as far as setting up the potential line item to pay that out of, or will that just come after we decide when we're going to meet?
I would direct that question to Director Cotton. I think he'd probably be best suited to answer that.
Okay. Director Cotton.
You already have a line item set up that'll cover it. But your other charges line has enough money and is open enough to accept charges in line without having a rental charge set up.
All right. Thank you.
Chairman Wiltshire, this is Stephen Helton.
Yes, Commissioner Helton.
We voted on the amendment to amend the main motion. I think we still have to approve the main motion if I'm not mistaken.
You're right. Exactly. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? All right. Thank you. Hopefully, we will be able to meet in person next month, unless something happens. But we've done the best we can to try to make that happen. So, thank you.
That's good.
All right. Next item is appoint standing committees, and I will be doing the same thing that I did last year, which was I've actually spoken.
Mr. Chairman, your next item was elect the pro tem and the parliamentarian.
Yes, you're correct, Commissioner Brown.
Well, since I know we got out of order a little bit, I just wanted to get you back on.
Yeah, I appreciate that. The 1A threw me off. Elect pro tem and parliamentarian. At this time, I would open that up for nominations.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Helton here. I would like to nominate Scott Rubley as pro tem.
Second. I'd like to second that. What's wrong?
Carl E. Bowden for Scott Rubley to be reelected. Okay, they fixed it. All right, we have a motion and a second for Commissioner Scott Rubley to be elected pro tem. Is there any other motions? Is there any
I make a motion, all others cease.
All right, we have a motion that the nomination cease.
Second, Savage.
We have a second from Commissioner Tommy Savage. Who made the motion? Was it Carl Lee?
Carly, yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. All right, any discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, next item is our parliamentarian.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to nominate Daniel Owens for parliamentarian.
Mr. Chairman, I second.
All right, we have a motion from Commissioner Ross and a second from Commissioner Hennessy to elect Daniel Owens as parliamentarian.
Mr. Chairman, this is Commissioner Helton. I nominate Joseph Stotts.
All right, we have a motion from Commissioner Helton for Commissioner Joseph Stotts.
I second that motion.
There's
Carl E. Bolden.
from Commissioner Carl E. Bolden.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any other motions? All right. If there's no discussion, then Lisa.
Mr. Chairman, I make motion that all nominations cease.
All right, we have a motion that nominations cease from
Commissioner
Commissioner.
I'll second it.
I believe Commissioner Tyrone Sparkman seconded that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, Lisa, if you would, we have two nominees for parliamentarian.
You want to order that they
Yes,
nominate?
yes.
So the first one, Daniel Owens. Bell,
Pass.
Carl D. Bolden,
Yes.
Carl E. Bolden,
Pass.
Carleen Brown,
Yes.
David Dunlap,
Yes.
Randy England,
Pass.
Deborah Evans,
Yes.
Steve Glenn,
Yes.
Steve Helton,
Pass.
Robert Hennessy,
Yes.
Ron Lee,
Yes.
Gary Martin,
Pass.
Daniel Owens,
Yes.
Casey Owens,
Yes.
Gary Prater, Christy Ross,
Yes.
Scott Ruble,
Pass.
Tommy Savage,
Pass.
Tyrone Sparkman,
No.
Joseph Stotts,
No.
Philip Stout,
Pass.
Cole Taylor,
Yes.
Blaine Wiltshire.
Pass.
Anyone want to change the vote? Okay. All right, so this will be for Joseph Stotts. Blaine Wiltshire,
Yes.
Cole Taylor,
Yes. I mean, pass, I'm sorry.
Philip Stout,
Yes.
Joseph Stotts,
Yes.
Tyrone Sparkman,
Yes.
Tommy Savage,
Yes.
Scott Ruble,
Yes.
Christy Ross,
Pass.
Casey Owens,
Pass.
Daniel Owens,
Pass.
Gary Martin,
Yes.
Ron Lee,
Pass.
Robert Hennessy,
Pass.
Stephen Helton,
Yes.
Steve Glenn,
Pass.
Deborah Evans,
Pass.
Randy England,
Yes.
David Dunlap,
Pass.
Carleen Brown,
Pass.
Carl E. Bolden,
Yes.
Carl D. Bolden,
Pass.
Michael Bell.
Yes.
Anyone want to change your vote? Okay, it's tied 11-11.
Okay, well, we'll have to vote again. So everybody, we're going to go through this again. We have to have a clear winner on this. So I guess that's all I can say about it. So Lisa, if you would.
Okay. All right. This is for Daniel. Michael Bell.
Pass.
Carl
Who
D.
we
Bolden,
voting on?
Daniel Owen.
Pass. I'm sorry, yes.
Carl E. Bolden.
No.
Carleen Brown.
Yes.
Left.
Yes.
Randy England. Randy.
No, sorry.
Deborah Evans.
Yes.
Steve Glenn.
Yes.
Stephen Helton.
No.
Robert Hennessy.
Yes.
Ron Lee.
Yes.
Gary Martin.
Pass.
Daniel Owens.
Yes.
Casey Owens.
Yes.
Christy Ross.
Yes.
Scott Ruble.
Pass.
Tommy Savage.
Pass.
Tyrone Spartman.
No.
Joseph Stotts.
No.
Philip Stout.
Pass.
Cole Taylor.
Yes.
Blaine Wiltshire.
Pass.
Anyone want?
11 again. Gonna be 11 again.
Yeah, it'll be the same difference, 11.
Okay, Robert, I'm going to have to ask your opinion on this. Is this something we can vote on again next month as we have before on other items?
Yeah, you can't handle it that way. You got to have a majority to win. If nobody's elected tonight, the prior parliamentarian simply holds that seat until the next one takes it.
Okay, I appreciate it. With that, that's what we'll do. We will vote on this in October's meeting again.
Get Gary Prater on the line, let him break the tie.
Mr. Chairman, this is Cole Taylor.
Yes, Commissioner Taylor.
I just now called Mr. Prater, and he is trying to get on, but he says the host will not let him in the meeting. He said, I have called several times or typed in several times, and he said the host will not let me in.
He break the tie.
Robert, does it just have to be a tiebreaker, or does it have to be a majority?
It's an internal designation of the commission, so a simple majority will do it.
Okay.
But you know, he's got to be here to vote. It can't be proxy through another commissioner. You know.
Right. Did you say something here? Okay. Yeah, we're
Won't get it though, will it?
We're looking for him now, but he's not showing up here on the screen.
Okay, give me 1 second. I'm calling him right back.
He's trying to get on.
Mr. Chairman, we need to move forward.
Well, I mean, I don't mind giving him a few minutes, not a few minutes, but a minute to get through.
No. Yep, I haven't been on there.
He was on there earlier and dropped off. He may have a bad signal. Lauren's looking at it right now. Now he's on.
Yeah, he said he was just calling.
Yep. She's got him in. Commissioner Prater, are you with us? Commissioner Prater. He is showing on the screen, but we don't have audio. We'll have to move on. All right, at this time, Commissioner Prater? All right, we're going to have to move on, and we will vote on this again next month. There's probably some difficulties on his side, on his phone line. All right, next item is appoint standing committees, and I've spoke with both Ben Rogers and Charles.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Commissioner
Ron Lee. Listen, I know you might not have read the county executive's report, but Warren County is being recognized by the state of Tennessee as a well-run county. And I would like to make the motion that we keep our committees as is. If we're being recognized by the state of Tennessee of doing a good job, we don't need to change anything. Unless somebody's got a personal agenda or political favors, I think we need to keep it just like it is.
Well, I appreciate that, but I as chairman, I have the right to present a list, and that is what I'm going to do. And then, of course, people will vote on it, and that will be the right of the commission. And so, you know.
So we're not going to vote on my recommendation.
Well, have you put that in a form of a motion?
I have. I put it in form of a motion that we keep our committees as they are. Mm-hmm.
All right, we have a motion.
I second that motion.
We have a motion from Commissioner Ron Lee to keep the committees as they are. And we have a second from Commissioner Evans. And I will mention that I have also already put, in my list, I have added the new Commissioner Casey Owens to 2 committees, and I've also made a spot for the incoming commissioner. So I don't know how that will work, but we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All right, if there's no.
This is Casey Owens, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Commissioner Owens.
With what you were saying, I was wondering how that would leave me with not being in any previous committees.
You
Mr. Lee.
would step in. You would step into the committees that was previously held by your predecessor.
Okay, I didn't know. Thank you.
I can't say that for sure, Commissioner Owens. That's something I would have to talk to, somebody at CTAS to make sure about. That sounds correct, but I do not want to tell you that tonight and that not be the case.
Okay, thank you. Thank you both.
Can we ask the county attorney if he knows?
Robert, would you like to speak to that?
Sure. There is no set rule either way about how that works. If you want to place Commissioner Owens into her predecessor's role, that simply needs to be part of the motion, and that would happen that way.
Commissioner Wilcher, or Chairman Wilcher, this commission.
Yes, Mr. Helton.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but because she is replacing Richard, we already filled Richard's position, so therefore there's not any open positions. Correct me if I'm wrong on that.
That is right.
So,
Yes.
so therefore, there's no positions available for Casey to fill because Richard's were already filled.
Mr.
That
Chairman,
is correct. Yes, Commissioner Savage.
the position that Richard was in on Building and Grounds, I was appointed 2 months ago to that position, but that left an open position of where I was at on another committee.
Right.
So I assumed that that would be where that new Commissioner Owens would be placed on that committee.
Possibly.
Mr. Wilcher,
Yes, Commissioner Brown.
as Mr. Bratcher alluded to, setting committees is truly up to this commission. This is our job, our committees, how we want them structured. By developing rules in our legislative policy, we would have rules that we would follow. But what we want to do is it totally up to the commissioners. His motion to accept these committees the way they are, I would think that we could do that, and then at the next meeting you could present a list that would show exactly where Casey was placed. But I noticed that Lori Judkins was on Health and Welfare, so there's an opening there. So there's a possibility you could go ahead and put Casey on that particular committee.
Possibly, yes.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner Rubley.
it has been customary, and I think the county executive would agree that it has been customary in Warren County over as far as we can remember, that the chairman of the commission presents the list, and I respect Commissioner Lee, but by following this motion, it is going to cause great confusion with the fact that Ms. Owens is now on the commission. I don't know, this is going to be a chess game, and it's going to be a huge issue. I just don't see how we can do this clearly without you making the recommendations. And as I stated earlier, it has been customary that the county executive produces a list and the commission votes to approve or reject that list.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Commissioner.
Mr. Chairman?
Carly Bolden, yes.
It's always been the chairman of the commission. He's always presented his list for a long, long time, and I recommend that we listen to your recommendations, whatever they are, and then we got a chance to vote on it after that. And that'd be my recommendation, is that we listen to it. I respect what the other people have said 100%, but I think we ought to go with your list and vote on it after that.
Mr. Chairman, Robert Hennessy, may I speak?
I'm
on now.
All right, Commissioner
Mr.
Bolden.
Welcher. Commissioner Welcher.
Yes, hold on just a second, Commissioner Hennessy. Carl Lee, were you saying something when Gary come in?
Yeah, I just said I'd like to put that in the form of a motion that you present your list and we vote on it as we've always done in the past.
Well, now we
Mr.
have
Chairman,
a motion.
we cannot make that motion because we already have a motion on the floor.
Right. The only
Okay.
thing that can be done is that motion can be amended. That is the only thing that can be done. You're correct, Daniel.
Will somebody tell me what the motion on the floor is?
Okay, let me restate. The motion that was made by Commissioner Ron Lee was to keep all committees as they were this previous year, and it was seconded by Commissioner Evans. Is there any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I think you need to clarify to Commissioner Prater the problems that will ensue if we do that with Ms. Owens now joining the commission. That's going to cause a lot of confusion. If you would clarify that to Mr. Prater.
Well, we have, actually, we will have two new commissioners. Besides Commissioner Owens, we will have another new one in November. And on my list, I've already made a position for the new commissioner coming in November, and also for Commissioner Owens. And I'm not sure exactly how this fits in with me as chairman presenting a list, which is what, as I've spoke with Charles Curtis as late as today about that as chairman, and we don't have any rules at this time. Traditionally, as Commissioner Rubley said, the chairman, which traditionally has been the county executive, with the exception of Sally Brock several years ago, would present a list of what his or her recommendations were, and then they would be voted on up or down, and then if there were any changes, then that would follow with amendments or other motions. But Gary, Commissioner Prater, we have a motion right now from Commissioner Ron Lee that we keep the committees the same as they were this previous year, and we have a second from Commissioner Evans.
Okay.
Does anybody
So what
else?
we're going to vote on? We're going to vote on
yes or no, to keep it, the same or to change it?
Well, no, right now, we only have a motion and a second, and the only thing that can alter that is an amendment to the original motion. That's it. Other than that, there is nothing else to vote on.
Mr. Wiltshire, I think Mr. Hennessy was trying to say something to.
Commissioner Hennessy.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
My question is this simply. This list of committees at present is a list that was compiled by you last year. And the county commissioners had the opportunity at that time, when you submitted your list, to make recommendations and changes, and the whole commission got to vote on that. Is that correct?
That is correct, that we were in a live meeting at that time, yes.
Okay. Now, is this the way that this is going to play out when we get your list? Are we going to have an opportunity as a commission, a collective group, to make changes and vote?
You will have the opportunity to vote it up or down or make changes, just as you did last year.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Can I ask one question, Mr. Wiltshire, Commissioner Wiltshire, Chairman
Yes.
Wiltshire?
Yes, Commissioner Lee.
All right. Everything else we get as commissioners, we get a 10-day notice in advance. So we're prepared for our meetings. Why did we not get this list 10 days ago so we could study and think about it? That's all I need to ask. Thank you.
I'm glad you asked that, Ron. I have been advised by Charles Curtis, and I've also spoke to Ben Rogers last year, and nothing has changed. They recommend not doing that. That is close to bribery, I guess is a nice way of saying it, because you basically lay out where you're going to put people, and then they can kind of, try to move around depending on where they want to be. And Charles Curtis told me that he would not present the list until he was in the meeting, and that's what I'm doing. I'm doing the same thing I did. Unfortunately, I'm not live. I mean, I'm not in person, so I can't give you a physical list. What I can do is go over the list and go over the list committee by committee, and then we vote on it.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, we will be able to vote like person by person. Should that be the case? Or as the committee as a whole? Is that correct? It's not like all one big bulk thing and it's up or down, right?
I cannot predict what the motion will be. We already have one motion right now.
Sure,
But
okay.
yes. I mean,
All
that's
right,
possible.
thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
So right now, we have a motion to keep the committees the same as they were last year with no changes, and we have a second. Is there any further discussion?
Can I amend that motion
Commissioner Evans?
to add Casey Owens to Health and Welfare Department and to the other opening that Tommy Savage mentioned? Add her to those committees in addition to keep the committees the same way.
Okay, we have a motion to amend the original motion to put Casey Owens in the absence created by someone in Health and Welfare. And what committee was that, Tommy Savage, that she's speaking to now?
The Economic and Agricultural Committee.
Mr. Chairman, it's Michael Bell.
Yes.
If we do that, we're gonna come up with the same situation when November rolls around. That commissioner will not have no committee.
You're correct.
Mr. Chairman, also to clarify on the original motion, it is literally impossible, I think, as Commissioner Lee stated, to keep the committees the same as they were last year. It is literally impossible for that to take place because we do not have the same commissioners that we had last year, And I just want to make sure everything's legal when we make these motions and vote.
This is Commissioner Prater. Let's call for the question.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Yes, Commissioner Evans.
So if we place Casey Owens in the two that I mentioned, no, so you filled Richard Grissom's spots when it wasn't the meeting to do the committees. Can we not do that after November, at the November meeting when we have a new commissioner? Because you were able to do that with Richard Grissom, with his spots. Why can we not do that then?
We can. I think at this time, we need to vote on that original motion, and if it passes, then we'll have that set. If it doesn't, then we'll have to entertain other motions.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to ask our attorney's opinion on the wording of that original motion, because as I said earlier, there is no possible way that it can remain the same, because we do not have some members here that are still on the commission. We've lost a couple of members.
Thank you, Scott.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, the way I understood Chairman Lee's motion was not to try and reinstate the committees as they existed September 2019, but to just make no changes to the current committees as they are today. And then the way I understood the amendment was to install Commissioner Casey Owens into the Economic and Agricultural Development and the Health and Welfare committees. That's the way I understand the current motions, and I don't think that would have any legality. You would have trouble if you tried to say we want the exact same setup we had in September 2019 started over now, because there would be lots of problems with that. But if the motion is just that we make no changes as to the way the commission committees are today, that'd be fine.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Robert.
All right, at this time, if there's no other discussion, then I think we need to vote on that. All in favor, say aye.
Mr. Chairman?
I'm sorry.
Clarity, please.
Need to clarify, Mr. Chairman, what we're voting on.
Yes.
We're voting on the motion from Commissioner Ron Lee to keep all committees the same as they were at the time before the previous election, and basically we'll find a position for Commissioner Owens on those applicants created. Is that correct, Robert?
Well, I defer to Commissioner Lee, but the way I understood it was that he's making a motion that we make no changes to the current committees. And then the amendment was that we install Commissioner Casey Owens, Economic and Agricultural Development, into Health and Welfare.
Commissioner Evans, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, did Commissioner Evans get a second on her amendment?
Yes.
Yes, by Commissioner Brown.
And also I request a roll call vote on this.
Yes.
We're going to have to. I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm trying to catch up with everybody that's chiming in, but it's hard on this screen. All right. So, Ron, does that motion, is that fit with what you were intending? And then Ms. Evans, with your amendment?
Yes, sir.
Yes, to make no changes and to install Commissioner Casey Owens on Health and Welfare and Economic and Agricultural.
That's right.
All right.
Maybe last on that.
All right. Lisa, I'll ask you to call the roll backwards.
Mr. Chairman, you have to vote on the amendment first.
Lisa, are you ready to vote on the amendment?
Yes.
Okay.
Lane Wilcher,
No.
Taylor,
No.
Philip Stout,
No.
Joseph Stotts,
No.
Tyrone Spartman, Tyrone Spartman,
No. I couldn't hear you.
sorry. Tommy Savage,
No.
Scott Ruble,
No.
Christie Ross,
Yes.
Grant Prater,
No.
Casey Owens,
No.
Bill Owens,
Yes.
Gary Martin,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Hennessy,
Yes.
Stephen Helton.
Yeah.
You said yes.
That is correct.
Thank you. Steve Glenn,
Yes.
Deborah Evans,
Yes.
Randy England,
No.
David Dunlap,
Yes.
Arlene Brown,
Yes.
Carl Bolden,
No.
Carl D. Bolden,
No.
Michael Bell.
No.
Anyone want to change?
I got a good band this weekend. We got Johnny Garces from Garth Brooks band, hell of a guitar.
Gary Prater, your microphone is on.
Yes.
Okay, I'll just try to keep it down, Carlene.
Okay, it's 10
He's
yes,
advertising a band.
Go ahead, Lisa.
10 yes, 13 no.
Okay, motion for the amendment fails. So now we go back on the original motion, which is to, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ron or Robert, the original motion was to keep the committees the same as they were prior to tonight.
Yeah, just make no changes to the committees.
Make no changes to the committees.
Is there any way I can mute on there?
And we're going to do a roll call vote on this also, and I would request that I go first.
Mr. Wiltshire, to clarify, a yes vote would mean what?
Would mean that we would keep the committees as they were originally. In other words.
Okay, thank you. Just clarify.
Yes,
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Just
Of course.
to clarify, we just determined that we couldn't do that through legal. Is that correct?
Yes, the main motion is to keep the committees as they are today. Make no changes at the meeting. You're simply reenacting them for another year as they exist right now.
So is that legal?
My
Yes,
question is that legal with, without Casey being on there?
yes, you'll have to probably have a meeting or a motion next month to put her on in committees, but it would keep the ones.
Does
Thank you.
everybody understand that?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Yes, Mr. Savage.
Yes, at what point will we vote on the list that the chairman has recommended?
We will not vote on it if this vote passes, correct, Robert?
That's correct. If this vote passes, that will be the installation of the committees.
Thank you.
So we are voting on the resolution to keep the committees just like they are right now. First.
Yes, and not to review my list, yes.
Mr.
That-
Chairman,
If you're for it, you're a yes vote. If you're against it, you're a no vote, right?
Correct. Commissioner
Okay.
Evans.
I have a question. I don't know if you have the answer or perhaps the county attorney does. So would that mean, would there have to be an opening next month? Would there have to be an opening somewhere to place Commissioner Casey Owens? on a committee, or how would that work? I don't want to leave her off of any committee. You know what I'm saying? That's what I want to make sure. If I vote to keep it the same, does that mean Commissioner Casey Owens will not be on any committees?
If I may, yes, right now, she would not have a committee seat at all. Since the amendment failed, she doesn't go on the 2 proposed committees. She would need to be installed into a committee next month without fail, and you can shuffle some moves around to do that. Or if this fails and there are new proposals from the chair, she will have some seats in those.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, and to clarify, and I'm not saying that I'm insinuating that this happened, but according to state statute, my understanding is that a commissioner does not have to be on any committee. But I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that according to the law, that there's no requirement to be on any committee, is my understanding.
That's correct.
If she's not installed to a committee tonight, there's no laws being broken. It breaks the precedent of our commission to have somebody without a committee assignment, but there's no legal problem with it.
Call the question.
All right, question's been called. I'll second it. All in favor?
We got a vote on it.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
No.
All right, we have some
Yes, sir.
opposition. Lisa, would you call the roll?
There you go.
Mr. Chairman, to clarify, I think there may be some confusion as to whether we're voting on the amendment or whether we're voting on the motion or whether we're voting to call question.
We're voting to call question on the discussion of that motion that is left.
Mr. Bratcher,
Yes. Yes.
Carlene, Robert's ready.
Hear me?
I'm sorry, Mr. Butcher, we do not have to vote on that. We call for the question.
Yes, he did call the question, and the question was voted on, and so that ends discussion. So now we're back on the original motion, and I'm trying to stay this, Robert, clarify if I'm wrong. The original motion was made to leave the committees set the same as they were before we started this meeting tonight.
That's right.
And with that, obviously, as chairman, that will mean I will not present a list if it passes. Correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. All right. All right, Lisa, will you call the roll?
Now, wait just a minute. Are yes if you're for it, or no if you want, no vote if you want to present your list, right?
Yes, if you want to accept the committees as they were before this evening, that is Commissioner
Right.
Long's motion. Yes, we'll be voting yes to do that.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, Lisa, call the roll, please.
And you want to go first? Is that your still
Yeah, why not?
recommendation? Okay. All right. Blaine Wiltshire,
No.
Cole Taylor,
No.
Philip Stout,
No.
Joseph Stotts,
No.
Tyrone Norman,
Who's that?
No.
Tony Tony
No. I can't hear.
Scott
I can't
Ruble,
either.
No.
Christy Ross,
Yes.
Gary Prater,
No.
Casey Owens,
No.
Daniel Owens,
No.
Gary Martin,
Yes.
Ron Lee,
Yes.
Robert Hennessy,
Yes.
Stephen Helton,
Yes.
Steve Glenn,
Yes.
Deborah Evans,
Yes.
Randy England,
No.
David Dunlap,
Yes.
Carleen Brown,
Yes.
Carl E. Bolden,
No.
Carl D. Bolden,
No.
Michael Bell.
No.
Anyone want to change your vote? Right, 9 yes, 14 no.
Mr.
Okay,
Chairman,
motion. Yes, Commissioner Bolden.
as you can tell, we spent an hour on two things, and that was the biggest cluster I've ever seen. But
Right.
The committees that we had so much confusion deciding this. The committees that you're going to give us, we need it, as Mr. Hennessy or Mr. Lee once said, we need that in front of us. I would like to make a motion that we table the appointment of the committees. Since you have been elected chairman, in the next 2 weeks, you give us the list that you have presented. We have an opportunity at least 5 to 7 days to look at it before we come into our next meeting. And the very first thing on the agenda is to do the committees. We leave the committees as they are today for one more month. That's not going to kill us. And then we vote on, got it in front of us, and it's not this mass confusion.
I would like to second that.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Carl D. Bolden and a second from Commissioner Ross that we postpone the appointing of committees until our next meeting, and I will provide the list. And I will contact CTAS and make sure that that is okay, since I have been elected chair. And it should be okay now that I'm already chair to do that. Robert, you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think this is fine.
Okay. All right, we have a motion and a second. Does anybody-
Mr. Chairman, I have a question for Robert. Mr. Bratcher, in the event that and my understanding, these are annual appointments. In the event that we cannot go another month, and after the fact of this meeting, we already have, will there be any legal implications? Because according to what I'm reading in state statute is that we are supposed to appoint committees on an annual basis, but is that 1 month not going to cause any confusion or any legal implications due to us delaying this another month?
The failure to make any appointments just results in the prior seat holder maintaining that seat until the appointment is eventually. And in fact, in the past, we have done appointments at the beginning of a 4-year term and just let them untouched for 4 years. So I don't think there'll be any issue with waiting the additional month to have the list.
Okay, thank you.
All right, with that, is there any other discussion? All right, does everybody understand the motion? The motion is to postpone committee appointments until our October meeting, and I will provide a list for review at least a week, if not more, prior to our meeting for review, if that is appropriate. All right, if there's no other discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
No.
No.
No. No.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, please call the roll.
Lisa,
No.
please call the roll.
All right, Bell,
Yes.
Carl D. Bolden,
Yes, ma'am.
Carl E. Bolden,
Yes.
Carleen Brown,
Yes.
David Dunlap,
Yes.
England,
No.
Deborah Evans,
Yes.
Steve Glenn,
Yes.
Stephen Helton,
Yes.
Robert Hennessy,
Yes.
Ron Lee,
Yes.
Gary Martin,
Yes.
Daniel Owens,
Yes.
Casey Owens,
Yes.
Gary,
No.
Christie,
No.
Yes.
Scott Ruble,
No.
Tommy Savage,
No, ma'am.
Tyrone Spartman,
No.
Joseph Stotts,
No.
Philip Stout,
No.
Cole Taylor,
No.
Blaine Wiltshire.
No.
Want to change your vote?
Lisa?
Yes.
Yes, Lisa? Miss Lisa?
Yes.
At least Carl Bolden, I'd like to change my vote to a no, please, ma'am.
Okay, I can do that.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Well, 13 yes and 10 no.
Okay, motion passes, so we will, I will work on a list and get it to everyone, and we can address this at our next full meeting in October. Thank you. All right, next item up is the Financial Management Committee appointments, and if possible, I would like to go ahead and make a motion that we keep those the same with basically the commissioners that were on it, with the exception, if I can look at the list here, I have down Gary Martin, Scott Ruble, Daniel Owens, and myself as the commissioners.
I second that motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second to keep those 4 members of the commission on the Financial Management Committee. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Next item is item number 4, and that is the Adopt CARES Act reimbursement of $613,170.
Move to approve.
I have a motion from Commissioner Carl E.
Second.
Bolden.
Second, Steve Glenn.
All right, we have a second from Commissioner Steve Glenn to approve the reimbursement. Any discussion?
Chairman, this is Director Cotton.
Yes, Director Cotton.
Is that motion to also appropriate the spending of the $613,170 in funds so that we can then ask for reimbursement if there's not enough reimbursement costs already outstanding?
Director Cotton, I would like for you to clarify what that expenditure consists of for the information of the court.
That's just it. There's not, this is a reimbursement from the state on expenses that have already been made or that will be made in response to COVID-19 before December 31st. That being said, any money that has not already been spent, we have to submit the reimbursement requests, I believe, by the first day of November. So if there's no money appropriated from the $613,000 for funds that have yet to be spent, we're going to have about an 11-day window to start all those projects prior to our reimbursal request.
All right, so
Director Cotton,
Have a question for
Yes.
Director.
Daniel Owens.
go ahead, Commissioner Owens.
I was in a meeting with Mr. Curtis and Mr. Rogers the other day, and they said the comptroller and the state have suggested the Horn Group on getting approval on spending before you do actually spend the CARES Act. Can you clarify?
Yes, yes, they have. The Horn Group has been contracted by the state to do all the approval on any reimbursement request. County Executive Haley is in contact with them as primary contact for the county on the CARES Act funds, and that is the plan. Any funds that have yet to be spent, we would get pre-approval prior to spending from them. And then any money that would be outlaid would go through the normal purchasing procedures as any other county funds that are being spent.
Thank you.
Okay,
You're welcome.
all right. So would the commissioner that made the motion, would you like to amend the motion to suit what Director Cotton specified, or how do we need to go about that, Robert?
Here, I would defer to Director Cotton about how to handle this. He's going to be most well versed in doing these expenditures. Yeah.
Justin, how would that motion need to be changed?
It would just need to be changed to include the appropriation of funds that are pre-approved by the Horn Group prior to allocation of those funds. I believe should be enough to put us in the right with the comptroller, and then after the deadline or in October, when we have a better idea, we can put an actual line item budget together in our full budget that would detail each thing as per the chart of accounts that we operate under.
All right, would the commissioner that made the motion like to restate the motion to include that?
If I'm the one that made it, yes, I would love to do that. However, Mr. Cotton wants to word it, will suit me fine.
I think you'll have to make the motion, Carl, basically mentioning that Director Cotton, will specify what he had mentioned in his discussion.
Okay. Yeah, that will be fine. That'll be fine. Yes, sir. Don't have a problem with that. I'd like to make the motion that Director Cotton will make the final decision on how the money is to be, whatever spent, however it needs to be worded.
And we had
I would recommend that.
Go ahead, Justin.
Just because of the nature of appropriations and the way that works, as far as the county legislative body goes, I would recommend the motion be that the funds be appropriated pending pre-approval by the Horn Group. That way, you're not giving me control over $600,000 that's not been appropriated.
Right.
Okay. That's fine.
All right, we have a motion, and who seconded that motion?
I did. Steve Glenn.
Steve. All right, we'll have to have a roll call vote on this.
Mr. Chairman, Daniel
yes,
Owens, should we check with the county attorney to make sure we can take the wording from Justin in that form of a motion? We are talking, like Justin said, $613,000.
Yes, Robert again.
Yes, I think the way Director Cotton worded it is in all respects correct. The inclusion that we were lacking is that it being appropriated and not just accepted from the CARES Act.
Thank you.
It's all pending from the group, the Horn Group. So yes, I think it's fine if we can do that the way he's worded it.
Thank you. All right, is there any other discussion? Call the roll, please.
Michael Bell,
Yes.
Carl D. Bolden,
Yeah. Yes.
Carl E. Bolden,
Yes.
Carleen Brown,
Yes.
David Dunlap,
Yeah.
Randy England,
Yes.
Deborah Evans,
Yes.
Steve Glenn,
Yes.
Stephen Helton,
Yes.
Robert Hennessy,
Yes, ma'am.
Ron Lee,
Yes.
Gary Martin,
Yes.
Daniel Owens,
Yes.
Casey Owens,
Yes.
Gary Prater, Gary Prater, Christie Ross,
Yes.
Scott Ruble,
Yes.
Tommy Savage,
Yes.
Tyrone Sparkman,
Yes.
Joseph Stotts,
Yes.
Philip Stout,
Yes.
Cole Taylor,
Yes, ma'am.
Blaine Wiltshire,
Yes.
Gary Prater. Anyone want to change their 22 yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. Next item is item number 6, resolution number 16-2020.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner
I'd
Ruble.
like to make a motion that we table this until we can meet in person next month.
I second it.
I have a motion from Commissioner Ruble and a second from Commissioner Randy England to table this vote on the legislative rules and regulations until we're able to meet in person. Does
Mr.
anyone
Chair.
speak? Yes, Commissioner Owens.
I understand it's a late night, but I would like to hear why he would like to table it besides meeting in person. We're not even guaranteed for that. We've got 5 commissioners that spent over a year working on this, and we would like to at least talk about it. Even if we adopt portions of it, that would be heads ahead of where we need to be.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner Stotts.
I do believe we've had a motion and a second.
That we have. Is there any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I would be glad to answer that question. I've spoken, we tend to insert his name commonly, but I talked to our county Commissioners Association president, Mr. Charles Curtis, and Charles informed me, we discussed, and he was on the same page that I was. He said this is a very important set of rules that we're adopting. This is something that we're going to be holding on to for years. I know it's a living, working document, but his opinion was that if you adopt these rules online, and you can see there's been great confusion tonight continually, and his opinion was if we adopt these online, he said you could, and I think I'm quoting him, but don't take this as a straight quote, but he said that you could possibly be in worse shape with the rules that you pass in an online meeting than you would if you didn't have any rules at all. So there's been a lot of confusion tonight, and I know that in person we have a lot clearer understanding of what is being presented. And I know even with motions tonight, it's been confusing as to what yes and what no is. And I just want to make sure, and I am not in any way saying that I'm opposed to these rules, but I think that in person would be the place to do this.
Mr. Wiltshire?
Yes, Commissioner Brown.
I did.
I was told today that this might happen tonight, so I have certainly, that was really one of the main reasons that I wanted to make sure we knew if there was going to be a possibility of an in-person meeting next month, since that's what Scott is really referring to, that we have that kind of meeting. I really hate seeing us put this off, but if this is the wishes of this commission, I would like to amend his motion to state that if we put this off to the October meeting, that the original 5 members of that committee are the ones who follow through with this document. We're talking about a year's worth of work that truly, has been postponed for a couple, for the last meeting being canceled too. But it was work that went through every single line, every single word of the document that was previously developed years and years ago. Manuals from other counties referencing Tennessee Code annotated laws, phone calls to Mr. Rogers, to Mr. Curtis, referencing their resolutions, and then going over, meeting with the different committees to create the committee descriptions. And I would just really like to see that we add we allow this committee to, with that knowledge and that they worked on, that we follow through with this as for the first document till we get something passed. And then, of course, it would be monitored over the years, but it's not a committee that would meet all the time after it is passed, because it would only that committee would only meet according to these rules if a new rule is questioned or changed or amended, or if the federal government our local government, state government amends something. So I'm going to amend his motion by saying that if this motion passes, that the original legislative committee is the one that presents the document to the full court.
I've got a question.
Go ahead, Commissioner Sparkman.
I've got a question.
Yes.
I think you already got a second on this, and I think we'll go ahead roll call vote on this.
Well, Commissioner Brown has made a motion to amend it, to keep the committee that is currently.
You don't have a second on that.
I second it.
Well, we do now. We have a second from Commissioner Evans. Robert, I would like to ask you a question. How will this conflict, or will it conflict with what we've decided on me being able to present a list of my committee recommendations?
Yeah, I do not think it will conflict with it. I think, if this were to pass next month, it will pass after your committee recommendations are made. I just don't think there's going to be any conflict.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, my interpretation of this amendment is that this committee would remain intact and would oversee this document until it was passed. And I cannot see how that could not conflict with next month's appointments.
Okay, I understand the question. You're saying if we move new people onto the legislative committee, they're the ones that are proposing the rules.
No, I'm just stating what Commissioner Brown has made a motion to amend the motion is stating to keep the committee as it is now until they present the document. Am I correct, Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
But Mr. Chairman, my question is, if something were to happen, and we know we're having situations, but if this document is not presented for 2 months, then once your committees are put in place, it looks like we would have some legal issues there.
That could be a problem. Mm-hmm. There could be conflict.
Okay.
My question to that would be, why would anybody want to change this committee as much time as we have put into it? And I may be one you're pulling off, I don't know. But we spent an entire year, and I'll be honest with you, my 6 years on the commission, this has been the most productive committee I've ever been on. So I don't know why anybody would want to change it. That's just a personal opinion that amounts to nothing.
I have a question too, Commissioner Rubley. How do you know what Chairman Wiltshires appointees are going to be? How do you know that they're different?
To clarify, Ms. Evans, I'm not saying that the committee would change, but if it does, my question was to Robert, if Commissioner Wiltshires' appointments were to change, then would there be a conflict? I'm not saying that there is, and I would agree with Commissioner Bolden. There have been a lot of great accomplishments with this. This is a huge document, and I think everybody on that committee has done a great job. I was just trying to clear ourselves from any legal issues if there were to be changes.
If there were to be changes, you'd have two conflicting resolutions that are contrary to one another. It would be a problem, yes.
You, Commissioner Rubley. I do have another
Commissioner
statement.
Evans, let me recognize you. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As Commissioner Brown and Commissioner Bogdan have said, and the other three, they have worked diligently, sometimes twice a month, and a lot of time on their own time, working on this document for all of us. As she said, they have utilized the previous one we had, and they've utilized other counties. They have been advised by Ben Rogers and Charles Curtis and our County Attorney Robert Bratcher. It has gone through reviews by those people. And as commissioners, we have all had months to read this and absorb it and raise questions. So I don't understand why we can't just vote on it tonight.
Well, that's where we're at right now. We have a motion to table it as a second, and then we have a motion to amend it, as Ms. Brown has stated, to keep the committee the same until these documents are voted on. Am I correct again, Commissioner Brown?
Yes, that's correct. And one way to simplify that would be for you to, well, we could change after it is adopted, then we could make changes to your committee assignments if you choose that you think that's what needs to be done. But at your next committee presentation, you would probably, if this passes, you would want to keep those committee members the same until the document is passed to keep things legal as recommended by Mr. Bratcher. Is that correct, Mr. Bratcher?
Well, if I could jump in.
Yeah.
I just took a quick glance at Robert's Rules of Orders, and motions to table are subsidiary motions that cannot be amended. So it more or less does away with the conflict.
Okay. All right. So we're back on the motion to table with the second. That correct? All right. We're back on the motion to table this until October's meeting, and we have a second. And as Robert
Mr.
said,
Chairman, to clarify, my motion was to delay until we could meet in person.
I'm sorry. Yes, the motion is to delay the vote on the legislative rules until we're able to meet as a commission body in person. And we have a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
No.
You have to do a roll call vote, sir.
Yes, we'll have a roll call, Lisa.
Ready. Michael Bell,
Yes.
Yes.
Carl E. Bolden,
Yes.
Carleen Brown,
No.
David Dunlap,
No.
Randy England,
Yes.
Deborah Evans,
No.
Steve Glenn,
No.
Steve Pelton,
Yes.
Robert Hennessy,
No.
Ron Lee,
No.
Gary Martin,
Yes.
Daniel Owens,
No.
Casey Owens,
No.
Gary Prater, Christy Ross,
No.
Scott Ruble,
Yes.
Tommy Savage,
Yes.
Tyrone Sparkman,
Yes.
Joseph Stott,
Yes.
Philip Stout,
Yes.
Cole Taylor,
Yes.
Blaine Wiltshire.
Yes.
Anyone want to change their vote? $13 yes, 9 no.
All right, motion is tabled until our next in-person meeting. All right, resolution number 17-2020, bond resolution with refunding report and preliminary refunding analysis with an estimated savings of $50,883.54. I'm sorry, who spoke? Do we have a motion?
I'll make that motion, Steve Glenn.
Mr. Chairman, I second that motion to open discussion. I think Mr. Gibson is here to inform us on that.
Okay, Mr. Gibson, we have a motion and we have a second to open discussion on that.
Yes, this is Scott Gibson. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
You do have a motion on the agenda tonight. The 2014 bonds are outstanding. They have interest rates slightly above 2%. We went out and did an RFP to several local and regional banks to see if we could get that rate lower. U.S. Bank came back with a rate of 1.02. And because the loan is, or the bond issue is so short and small, the bank option is the best route to achieve the maximum savings. So we'll be basically cutting the rate from a little over 2 to 1.02. And by doing that, we can pick up about $10,000 a year savings for the next 5 years for a total of $50,000. If you implement this tonight, we will get that in process and hopefully have the bond issue or the new loan closed by mid-October.
All right, Commissioner Rubley, was that a motion to approve this?
Yes, sir. I think I was the second, actually.
I made that motion. Steve Glenn did.
Commissioner Glenn made the motion, we approve, and Commissioner Rubley seconded the motion to approve Resolution 17-2020. Any other discussion? Call the roll, please, Lisa.
Michael Bell,
Yes.
Carl D. Bolden.
I can't hardly hear you, but yes.
Okay. Carl E. Bolden,
Yes.
Carleen Brown,
Yes.
David Dunlap,
Yes.
Randy England,
Yes.
Deborah Evans,
Yes.
Steve Glenn,
Yes.
Stephen Helton,
Yes.
Robert Hennessy,
Yes.
Ron Lee,
Yes.
Gary Martin,
Yes.
Daniel Owens,
Yes.
Casey Owens,
Yes.
Christy Ross,
Yes.
Scott Ruble,
Yes.
Tommy Savage,
Yes.
Tyrone Spartman,
Yes.
Joseph Stotts,
Yes.
Philip Staff,
Yes.
Cole Taylor,
Yes.
Lane Wiltshire.
Yes.
Anyone want to change their vote? 22 yes.
All right, motion passes 22 to 0. Next item is Amendment GFFY 2021-1.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve from Commissioner Rubley, a second from Commissioner Stout. Anyone want to speak to that motion?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to speak to that.
Yes.
What this amendment consists of is basically the reason we had to do the amendment is after we passed this year's budget, we actually considered the charitable contributions list, and these are the changes that were made in the charitable contributions list after the budget was passed. It passed 5-0 in our committee, and that's why I made the motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Lisa, call the roll, please.
Michael Bell,
Yes.
Carl D. Bolden, Carl D. Bolden,
Ms. Scott, Carl D. Bolden just sent me a text message saying that he was locked out of the meeting and he requests that Lauren let him back in. He cannot enter the meeting.
Carl E. Bolden,
Yes.
Carleen Brown,
Yes.
David Dunlap,
Yes.
Randy England,
Yes.
Deborah Evans,
Yes.
Steve Glenn,
Yes.
Stephen Helton,
Yes.
Robert
Yes.
Ron Lee,
Yes.
Gary Martin,
Yes.
Daniel Owens,
Yes.
Casey Owens,
Yes.
Christy Ross,
Yes.
Scott Ruble,
Yes.
Tommy Savage,
Yes.
Tyrone Spartman,
Yes.
Joseph Stotts,
Yes.
Philip Stout,
Yes.
Cole Taylor,
Yes.
Blaine Wiltshire,
Yes.
Carl D. Bolden,
What are you voting on now? Because I just now got back on.
amended,
I'm sorry, we're voting on amendment, item number 7, amendment GF FY 2021-1, the general fund amendment to correct nonprofit allocations.
Yes.
does anyone want to change their vote? 22 yes.
Motion passes. Next item is item number 8, amendment GF FY 2021-2, general fund amendment to transfer funds from jail to sheriff to procure services and facilitate the institution of a certified officer in the jail during business hours.
Motion to approve.
Second by Robert Hennessy.
And we have a second from Commissioner Hennessy. Anyone want to speak to that motion?
Mr. Chairman, I would. What has happened here, the sheriff has decided that he needs a certified officer on duty at all times at the jail or during daylight business hours, typical business hours. And what he has done is taken, since we went to contracted services on the food services, the cafeteria personnel line item had $37,607.85, and he has asked to move that. And from 54,210, line item 716, there's an additional 16,000 for law enforcement equipment, and that is to pay the salary of a certified officer there during the day. I talked to Major Walker, and according to Major Walker, my understanding is that once this position is filled, that we should be pretty much fully staffed at the jail and in need of no more employees at this time. It passed our committee 5-0, and I so move.
Thank you. All right, we have a motion and we have a second. Lisa, call the roll, please.
Okay. Michael Bell,
Yes.
Carl D. Bolden,
Yes.
Carl E. Bolden,
Yes.
Carleen Brown,
Yes.
David Dunlap,
Yes.
Randy England,
Yes.
Deborah Evans,
Yes.
Steve Glenn,
Yes.
Stephen Helton,
Absolutely, yes.
Robert Hennessy,
Yes, ma'am.
Ron Lee,
Yes.
Gary Martin,
Yes.
Daniel Owens,
Yes.
Casey Owens,
Yes.
Christy Ross,
Yes.
Scott Ruble,
Yes.
Tommy Sa-
Yes.
Tyrone Spartman,
Yes.
Joseph Stotts,
Yes.
Philip Stout,
Yes.
Cole Taylor,
Yes.
Blaine Wiltshire.
Yes.
Anyone want to change their vote? 22 yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. Next item is item number 9, approve planning commission appointments. Executive Haley.
Yes, Chairman, there's 2 reappointments to be made, and that's Steve Glenn, County Commissioner Steve Glenn, and then Robert Collier. So I would make that recommendation to reappoint them to the Planning Commission. They've been very successful in our endeavors on that commission and have brought professionalism to it. So I would recommend that those 2 appointments be made.
Motion to approve.
All right, we have a motion from Commissioner Ruble.
Second from Michael Bell.
We have a second from Commissioner Bell. Anyone want to speak to that motion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Next is item number 10, approve bond for assessor of properties.
Motion to approve.
A motion
Second.
from Commissioner Ruble, a second from
Carly.
Carleen Bolden. Anyone want to speak to that motion? All right, Lisa, call the roll, please.
Michael Bell,
Yes.
Carl D. Bolden,
Yes.
Carl E. Bolden,
Yes.
Carleen Brown,
Yes.
David Dunlap,
Yes.
Randy England,
Yes.
Deborah Evans,
Yes.
Steve Glenn,
Yes.
Stephen Helton,
Yes.
Robert Hennessy,
Yes.
Ron Lee,
Yes.
Gary Martin,
Yes.
Daniel Owens,
Yes.
Casey Owens,
Yes.
Christy Ross, Christy Ross,
Yes.
Scott Ruble,
Yes.
Tommy Savage,
Yes.
Tyrone Sparkman,
Yes.
Joseph,
Yes.
Philip Stout,
Yes.
Cole Taylor,
Yes.
Blaine Wiltshire.
Yes.
Anyone want to change their vote? 22 yes.
Motion passes. Next item is item number 11, approval of notaries. Scott.
All right, this is the list for the notaries. Carly Walk, Lindsay M. Bryant, Holly Bain, Lisa Davis, Austin Mize, Ellen M. Pilcher, Stacy Sanders, Emily Stefanik, Dina Graham, S. Smart, Michelle King, Jennifer Aaron, Sherry McGinnis, John M. Moore, Kim Fry, Deanna Jones, Sharon Patrick, and Joyce Thacker.
Move to appoint.
I have a motion for Commissioner Randy England.
Second.
We have a second from Commissioner Evans. Anyone want to speak to that motion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Under announcements, are there any announcements? I would like to say, Casey, this is not a typical meeting, so it will get better. And I promise you, this is unusual.
I just want to
And-
thank you from earlier for inviting me and saying welcome. So thank you all.
Oh, you're welcome. With that,
Mr.
unless
Chairman.
anyone has- Yes.
Cole Taylor here.
All right, Commissioner Taylor.
I won't take but just a minute. I know everybody's wore out and tired and burnt out. First off, I'd like to say all the people that had to sit in on this meeting tonight, I'm truly sorry. Other than the commissioner, it's been a disaster. But first off, I'd like to start off with saying I didn't get to talk to Mr. Swallows earlier, but this is not necessarily coming as a commissioner. This is coming as a parent. I hope and pray that tomorrow night we can get our kids back in school after fall break, because I have a 8-year-old son that I've watched fall behind in some areas because I'm not a teacher, nor is my wife, and he's not learning nothing at home. And I hate to say that, but I hope and pray that we can get them back in school. I'm very proud of them for practicing the safety that they've done, but our numbers are going down, and I feel like that we need to get them back into school as soon as possible because our kids deserve the best education that they can get. And I'm sorry, but homeschooling and online on a computer is not getting it. Not in my household anyways. Secondly, I'd like to say, this is to Executive Haley. Executive Haley, I hope and pray that we can work together and get our county building back open so that, number one, we can have county business meetings there. Number two, that our county taxpayers can use it like they should be able to. We don't always all agree. We don't always get along, but let's quit playing cat and mouse and let's get these things open back up and let's go back to work. Thank you, sir.
Amen.
Amen.
All right.
Amen.
I will make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
I'd like to say one thing. Good night, John Boy.
Motion and a second, and I know Tommy's already laid on the bed 2 or 3 times, but we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Good night, John Boy.
Hi, John Boy.
What a freaking mess.